There are moments in life when the external noise becomes too loud, when distractions pull at every corner of your mind, and the soul quietly whispers for a deeper connection. It's in these moments, when hunger meets silence and stillness meets surrender, that a sacred transformation begins. Not visible to the human eye, not measurable by the physical world, but profound in its movement across the unseen dimensions of reality. Fasting and prayer aren't mere rituals. They are ancient codes of access, keys that open the vaults of divine resonance in the invisible realms. When you fast and pray, you're not just refraining from food or speaking into the void. You're engaging in a conversation that surpasses words. You're stepping into alignment with the frequency of the universe, tuning your internal dial to clarity, obedience, and transformation. The body bows and the spirit rises. The moment your intent becomes sincere, the unseen begins to respond. In this stillness, the unseen becomes active. You may not feel it immediately, but the moment you choose to fast and pray with sincerity, a current shifts beyond the limits of perception. The physical body, long accustomed to constant satisfaction, becomes a vessel of discipline. In this act of restraint, a message is broadcast across spiritual dimensions. Obedience is in motion, and obedience, physical, intentional obedience, is what stirs movement in the unseen. Every action taken in the material world echoes through the fabric of spiritual reality. This isn't abstract poetry. It's the fundamental design of cause and effect written into the blueprint of existence. Your choice to deny temporary pleasure is more than self-control. It is a form of energetic alignment. When the body submits, the soul speaks more clearly. The distractions dull, and what remains is an unfiltered connection between your inner world and the current of divine intelligence. Fasting becomes a silent declaration. I'm ready to stop feeding the noise and start feeding the signal. Spiritual favor and intervention are not random blessings scattered like chance rain. They are drawn like gravity to intention wrapped in action. The unseen world responds not just to what is believed internally, but to what is done externally in alignment with that belief. Physical obedience acts as a key that unlocks sealed realms of assistance. As you reduce indulgence, you amplify presence. You shift from reaction to command, from fragmentation to focus. Your body, once a source of endless craving, becomes an instrument of clarity and devotion. Across cultures and centuries, seekers have intuitively known this. Mystics, sages, and wise ones have fasted not to punish themselves, but to purify the noise. It is a process of subtraction, where every removed comfort makes space for unseen abundance to enter. A fast is not just about food, it's about what you stop feeding mentally, emotionally, and energetically. In that vacuum, invisible forces become visible in your experience. Opportunities align, energy clears. You find that you're no longer pushing towards something, you're pulling it in by resonance. Fasting and prayer don't bend the will of the universe. They bend your frequency into alignment with what the universe already willed for you. You don't perform to earn divine attention. You quiet the static long enough to hear the answer that was always there. Your physical act becomes a vote for your own transformation, cast into the unseen ballot box of reality. And what returns is never just symbolic, it is real, tangible, and timed with precision. As your frequency rises through fasting and prayer, resistance may rise too. Not because you've done something wrong, but because you've disturbed the still waters of the invisible world. Energy never remains neutral when higher vibrations are introduced. Just as light disrupts darkness, your alignment with the universe stirs a ripple across the field of reality, and ripples invite reaction. Every realm operates under laws, seen or unseen. When you enter a higher state of awareness, old energies lose their grip, and new energies begin to assert themselves. The moment you initiate fasting and prayer with sincere intent, the unseen begins to rearrange itself around your shift. But the forces that once held sway over your time, your mind, and your desires don't step aside without resistance. They respond to your movement by tightening their hold, not because they are stronger, but because they sense they are losing control. This resistance is not a punishment, it is confirmation. It proves that something within you has begun to vibrate differently. Temptations that once felt harmless may now feel invasive. Thoughts you've entertained for years suddenly become unbearable. Emotional shadows you've ignored surface with urgency. You are not regressing, you are purging. Like a storm that clears the air, spiritual tension surfaces to be released. The enemy of alignment is not failure, but stagnation. And resistance, paradoxically, is a sign that you are no longer stagnant. In the unseen, your fasting and prayer trigger movement among unseen intelligences, forces that many would describe as divine agents, energetic allies, or messengers. These forces do not operate in isolation, they await participation. And participation is activated through physical obedience. The universe does not intervene by intrusion, it responds to invitation. Your consistency in fasting and prayer becomes that invitation. The longer you remain aligned, the more spiritual reinforcements are dispatched on your behalf, working not only around you, but through you. This invisible conflict is not a cosmic battle of good and evil in dramatic fashion. It is more like a chessboard, strategic, quiet, precise. Every decision you make either strengthens divine momentum or slows it. When you persevere through resistance, when you stay centered despite emotional noise, the unseen moves with greater confidence in your intent. The universe never doubts your worth, but it waits to see if you'll rise to your own potential. Resistance simply asks the question, are you serious about what you've asked for? And once the answer becomes clear, once your actions match your affirmations, once your surrender outweighs your fear, then resistance loses its power. Spiritual motion accelerates, energy clears, and you are no longer the one knocking on the doors of heaven. You become the door through which heaven enters the world. The unseen battle was never about defeating you. It was about refining you, aligning you, preparing you for what you were always meant to embody. The breakthrough is not only around you, it begins within. Fasting and prayer turn you from a passive bystander into a co-architect of your reality. You no longer move aimlessly through life, reacting to external conditions. You recognize the battle within and around you, and you engage with clarity. The war in the unseen is not between light and darkness, as myth often portrays. It is between alignment and interference, between the higher path you're stepping into and the lower patterns refusing to let go. And every time you choose obedience over indulgence, every time you lean into prayer instead of distraction, you cast your vote for victory in realms most never see, but everyone eventually feels. To understand how to fast and pray effectively, you must move beyond the surface-level notion of just skipping meals and reciting memorized lines. The essence of this practice is not deprivation, it is intentional redirection. Fasting means removing what numbs the senses, what crowds the mind, what clutters the soul. It may begin with food, but it can include anything that has gained too much influence: social media, entertainment, constant stimulation, even overthinking. You are declaring, I will no longer feed the parts of me that dilute my awareness. Structure matters. Choose a length of time that challenges you, but doesn't defeat you. 21 days has historically symbolized transformation, but the power is not in the number, it's in the sincerity. Begin with clarity, set an intention, write it down, speak it aloud. Let the universe hear it through your actions, not just your words. Eliminate what is desirable, not as punishment, but as offering. And in that offering you signal, I am ready to receive clarity in place of chaos. Prayer, when aligned with fasting, is not a desperate plea. It is a declaration. It is not begging a distant force to notice you. It is remembering that you are already connected, already seen. Speak from alignment. Affirm your connection to divine order. Your words are vibrations, and vibrations shape outcomes. But prayer must also include silence. Not every dialogue requires sound. In stillness, the universe speaks back. Thoughts become clearer, Insights rise from within. Guidance arrives not as thunder, but as whispers. One of the most powerful elements in this process is consistency. Results are rarely instant. Spiritual resistance may test your patience, but each day you persist, something is breaking, moving, realigning. You're not just restraining the body, you're retraining the soul to listen again. Create a daily rhythm. Morning prayer to align your mind, midday silence to reset your energy, evening reflection to seal the progress. Use the moments where cravings rise as opportunities to reaffirm your intention. Each resistance is a reminder to return. Fasting and prayer are tools, precision tools. They are not meant to impress others or prove spiritual worth. They are technologies of consciousness, rituals that reconnect you to your origin and realign you with your purpose. As you move through them with sincerity, your spiritual field recalibrates. You stop leaking energy to distractions. You stop outsourcing your power to temporary pleasures. You begin to live from a place of quiet authority, knowing that while the world sees you turning down a plate, the unseen world sees you rising into position. As you move through fasting and prayer with consistency and reverence, a momentum begins to build, not only within your internal landscape, but also in the unseen dimensions that surround your existence. You are no longer the same as when you began. The body has been humbled, the mind quieted, and the spirit sharpened. What once required effort now begins to flow. You sense shifts in your circumstances, clarity in your decisions, and a subtle but unshakable awareness that something greater is at work. This is the beginning of spiritual dominion, not as control over others, but as mastery over your own frequency and alignment. Dominion is not granted lightly, it is accessed through alignment. When your intentions, thoughts, actions, and energy move in unison, you become a vessel through which divine order flows. The universe does not withhold favor, it watches for consistency, for sincerity, for obedience that is not forced but chosen. Favor, unlike unconditional love, operates on the principle of responsibility. You do not earn it through performance. You unlock it through devotion. It is not favoritism, it is recognition. And when you are recognized in the unseen realm as trustworthy, more is entrusted to you. This increase is not always dramatic. It may arrive as peace in moments where anxiety once reigned. It may come as sudden insight, precise timing, or protection from what you never knew threatened you. The unseen is exact. Nothing moves without reason. When fasting and prayer become a lifestyle, rather than a seasonal effort, the favor you receive is no longer temporary. It becomes a stream. And in that stream flows not just blessing, but guidance. You are led into spaces you didn't seek, invited into conversations you didn't plan, connected to outcomes you couldn't force. Spiritual favor expands according to the capacity of the vessel. Fasting and prayer stretch that vessel. They widen your ability to hold vision, to carry responsibility, to withstand resistance without collapsing. And so, the universe does not promote the unprepared. It elevates those whose discipline has formed the infrastructure to contain more light, more truth, more purpose. The moments of hunger, silence, and sacrifice are never in vain. They are chiseling the shape of your destiny. They are not subtracting from your life, they are refining it. As this refinement deepens, you begin to walk with a new posture, not one of pride, but one of quiet assurance. You are no longer reactive to chaos because your inner world is ordered. You are no longer overwhelmed by fear because your roots are deep in presence. People may not see the nights you spent in prayer or the meals you passed up, but they will notice something different, a presence, a depth, a favor that doesn't come from talent, charm, or credentials, but from alignment. You've become a carrier of the unseen into the visible. Spiritual momentum becomes your default. It carries you when motivation fades. It sustains you when challenges arise. You no longer beg for breakthroughs. They meet you on the path you're already walking. In this space, miracles are not rare. They are logical results of consistent alignment. You have not manipulated the universe. You've matched its rhythm. You have not demanded blessings. You've made room for them. And because of that, dominion is not a title you claim. It is a reality you embody. In conclusion, fasting and prayer are not ancient superstitions or spiritual extremes. They are profound pathways to reclaiming your place within the sacred design of the universe. When practiced with sincerity and understanding, they don't change the divine. They change you. They cleanse the lens through which you perceive reality, remove static from your inner signal, and awaken forces that respond not to performance, but to posture. In the silence of hunger and the stillness of prayer, unseen realms begin to move, invisible structures shift, delays dissolve. You begin to walk with a sense of inner clarity that no outer chaos can touch. You are not forgotten, nor are your efforts unnoticed. Every sacrifice is recorded in the fabric of the unseen. Every prayer spoken in truth echoes far beyond what the ears can hear. When you fast and pray, you are participating in a sacred exchange, offering up what is temporary in order to receive what is timeless. And as alignment deepens, so does your ability to shape reality, not from force, but from frequency. This is the hidden order. This is the unseen world made visible through devotion. Walk in it, deliberately, humbly, powerfully,